Good evening and welcome to the February 16th, 2023 meeting of the City of Highland Park Zoning Board of Appeals. Kelsey, can we get a roll call, please?
Member Trasanski?
Here.
Member Beck?
Here.
Member Yablon is absent. Member Zaransky?
Here.
Member Hendrick?
Here.
Vice Chair Bay?
Here.
And Chair Cullether.
Here.
That is 6. A quorum is present.
Thank you. Have my colleagues had a chance to review the minutes from the February 2nd meeting?
I have.
Yes.
I will entertain a motion.
Member Hendrick would make a motion to adopt the minutes as presented in the packet.
I'll second that, or allow someone else to.
Member Beck will shut up.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. The publication date for new business was February 1st, 2023. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on an item that is not on this evening's agenda? I'm going to presume you two are here for the... Great, thank you. We have no old business. That brings us to new business, which is application 2023-VAR-001. The property at 68 Ridge Road. The appellant is Yaniv Dolgin. Kelsey, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so this is the approximate location of Ridge Road. It's Ridge Road and Lake Cook Road, about halfway through the block. Then, so the proposal here today is to construct a two-story addition onto the existing single-family home. This lot is in the R4 district, and it meets the minimum area. It's 25,000 square feet. I will point out that it's two separate parcels, but it's one zoning lot, because anytime that two zoning lots are under the same ownership and they're undersized for the district, they're immediately seen as one zoning district for ownership and development. And the requested relief before you today is to encroach 6.7 feet within the 40-foot required R4 setback measured from the east property line, and then to encroach 16.22 feet within the required established 49.52-foot front yard measured from the east property line. Okay, so here's an aerial view of the site. It's an interior lot. It has a home and a detached garage, also a pool on it. You can see it has an angled front lot line, which drastically kind of impacts and narrows that lot up to the north. Here's the existing home today. I will say it is non-conforming. It encroaches 5.1 feet into the 40-foot setback, front yard setback, and then 14.92 feet into the established building setback. So the existing setback today is 34.9 feet at its closest encroachment to the front lot line. Here's the proposed site plan. So they're proposing a two-story addition in line with the existing facade. However, since this lot line is angled, portions of this home do encroach different distances into the front yard. That red line is the approximate location of the 40-foot required line. That green line is the approximate location of the 49.52-foot established building setback line. So the proposed minimum setback is 33.3 feet. So maximum encroachment of 6.7 feet into the 40-foot required front yard, and then 16.22 feet into that established building setback. And so the established building setback is the average of all homes on a block, the average setback of all homes on the block. It only applies in certain instances when there's 3 or more homes and half of them are greater than the minimum required setback. So this home, to calculate the established building setback, it included all homes starting north at 116 Ridge and then south at 30 Ridge Road. So the average EBS is 49.52 feet. I'll note that in my memo in the EBS analysis one, I think I used 49.25 feet twice. That was just a typo. This is the 49.52 feet, which was published in the legal notice and is correct. And so if this is approved, the EBS of the block will be reduced to 46.82 feet from its 49.52 feet. However, I will note that the subject parcel principal structure is not included in the calculation of established building setback when they submit for things like permits and variations. But if you were to include the existing setback of the home, the EBS is 47.1 feet. So you're really looking at 47.1 feet to 46.82 feet of a difference. This is the existing elevation of the two-story home. This is the proposed. So you can see that they're going to move the front door. They're also going to add 2 garage doors. This home is in compliance with all other zoning requirements. It is within the allowable height, and it's within the allowable floor area. I'll also note that we do have maximum linear footage of garage door openings. It's in compliance with that as well. This is the street view from Ridge Road to kind of give you an idea. So again, that 2-story addition is just going to be to the south of it, in line with the home. And then there were no comments from engineering. We did not receive any written comments. There is a forestry memo in which they expressed concerns about some key and protected trees being damaged. However, forestry did not attend tonight, and they've felt that this would be addressed during normal permitting. So even if this went through a permit and those trees were impacted, this wouldn't require any zoning variation for those trees. Okay, so again, there are 2 variations kind of layered on top of each other. You can't really do one without the other when it comes to front yard setbacks. And so the first one is to encroach 6.7 feet within the 40-foot required front yard setback, and then to encroach 16.22 feet within the required established building setback of 49.52 feet. Zoning Board of Appeals should use the Chapter 150 zoning code standards of approval. If you guys
Thank you. Any questions for Kelsey? Not,
One clarification, you're talking numbers kind of quickly.
Yeah, sorry.
If this home was included in the established building, it would be, how many, where would that have?
So the established building setback of the home that was submitted by the applicant of the block is 49.52 feet. However, when homes submit for permits and stuff, they don't include their subject property. So his home, his existing setback is not included in that 49.52 feet because it's assuming there's new development and there's going to be a new established building setback with the new home. So if you were to include the existing setback of the existing home, the EBS of the block would be 47.1 feet.
Okay.
And then if you were to approve this variation and approve the additional encroachments into the front yard, the EBS would be reduced to 46.82 feet.
Okay, thank you.
to about 3/10 of a foot. Any other questions? Thank you. Does the applicant like to make a presentation to talk to us? You'll step on up. If you'll provide your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Yaniv Dolgen. Current address or this address?
Whichever is your
Yeah,
residence.
my current address right now is 2215 West Fletcher Street in Chicago, Illinois. It's 60618. The address that I'm applying for is 68 Ridge Road in Highland Park, 60035.
Thank you. Do you hereby affirm or attest that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
So, my name is Yaniv Dolgen. I grew up in Wilmette, over on Skokie Boulevard and Wilmette Avenue. And I've lived there till college. I went to Madison, Wisconsin for college. And then after college, lived at home for a little bit and then eventually moved to the city. About 6 years ago, I met my wife and she moved from Israel to Chicago. And we bought a house in the city, the one over on Fletcher Street. And we've lived there for the past 6 years, and everything's great. My mom runs a Hebrew school daycare in the city, and my kids go there. And it's 3 minutes away. So it's been a wonderful, we live in an area called Roscoe Village. I don't know if many of you are familiar with the city, and it's been wonderful. So life's been really good. Fortunately, we wanted to transfer to the school. We know the schools in the suburbs just because I grew up here. I actually happened to go to a private day school. I went to Solomon Schechter Day School, and it used to be way back, and I don't know if anyone is, some of you are old enough, but right down the street on Lee. So if you go on Lake Cook, and instead of going right on Ridge, on Lee Road, all the way down there used to be where Solomon Schechter was. So I grew up in this area on North Pecora being like my, kind of second home. And we bought this house in October of 2022 with the intention of our son starting first grade at, I believe it's Shorewood Elementary, in August of 2023. We decided to go the public school route, and we've obviously heard great things from lots of people that live in the area and grew up in the area. So that was the overall picture in the move. It all happened really fast. We bought the house in October after seeing only 5 other homes same day. And it was one of those, we got there and it was make an offer by 7 p.m., multiple offers, and I can kind of see where it was going. I even knew a developer that his client put an offer, so I knew that it was going towards probably a tear down most likely in most cases. And I really liked the character of the house, and we decided to make an offer, and we got it. That being said, the intention was to do an addition of some sort, and it started with kind of piecing the addition together, doing on the backside, and when it came down to it, the look and the feel of the house that we're trying to go for made the most sense if we just include everything that we're trying to get in the addition in one straight section of the house. My wife was also trying to get more of an open floor plan as much as possible. And when I came to Robert, by the way, this is my architect, Robert Friedman, to ask him what the best way to go about this and draw plans, only then I realized I even need a variance. I'm familiar with a variance. I'm a general contractor in my profession, so I'm familiar with a variance. We haven't had to ask for one since one of my brother's first projects back in like 2005. It was in Northbrook, where he actually went door to door and knocked on people who were younger and had to do the legal notices and stuff like that. So I'm very familiar with a variance, and I'm excited about this project. If the variance does get approved, I'm looking forward to it. I know that there's a lot of numbers that I'm supposed to address in terms of the actual form. I forget what the form is called, the approval standards. If you don't mind, if I can just look it up real quick on my phone, because I have the exact wording that I wanted to really share with you guys. I'm sorry, I didn't pull this up earlier. While I look for that, I do want to say that like my family and I were very excited. I have 2 children. One of them is turning 6 in May. The other one, he's my son. Eitan is his name. By the way, my wife's name is Michal. And my daughter's name is Mili. She's turning 4 in March. And we're very excited to move to the suburbs. We're excited to meet our neighbors. Unfortunately, since I bought the house, I haven't really seen many neighbors outside. It's late October, it started to get a little chilly, and people just weren't hanging out outside. And I stopped there probably once or twice a week at the minimum just to check in the house. And I rarely see neighbors, especially now in the winter. And we're looking forward to it. We see playground sets in neighbors' backyards, and I have a sense that there's got to be some families around that are going to the same school, and so we're really looking forward to it. It's a nice, quiet street. There's also another quiet street behind us. It's on Acorn Lane, and it's also got about 7, 8 houses over there that are, I can say also, I hope, even if they're not families, just good people. Seems like just very quiet streets, and as we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to the suburb part of it. I'm sorry, I had to find this letter that
If you'd like, I could pull it up on the screen.
Oh, here we go. So I wrote a letter that when I did the whole process, I didn't understand when I sent the legal notices that I could have sent this letter with it. It was a letter that I was going to send to my neighbors so that they get a sense of who I am. I can read it. My name is Yaniv Dolgen, and I'm the new proud owner of the property at 68 Ridge Road. I grew up in Wilmette and had the opportunity to spend a lot of my childhood in Highland Park. My wife, Michal, and I are very excited to join the community along with our 2 children, Eitan and Mili. Eitan will start first grade in August, and we look forward to meeting the families nearby. We live in the city and plan on moving sometime in the summer of 2023. We plan to build an addition and make this our forever home, and we're asking for a variance in the code regarding the distance between the front of our house and the street, and I know now that's another variance as well. And then in regards to the numbers, would you prefer that I read the question that comes with it? Like question number 1, or?
It is your case to make, so it is up to you, sir.
Okay, so I'll just read the questions. The property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations of zoning district in which it is located. This, however, does not mean that granting the variation is based solely on whether the owner can make money from the property. So that my answer to this is going to be my primary residence. We do plan on selling our house in the city. This is not an investment property, and this is hopefully our forever home in the sense of at least 10, 15 years, high school for the kids and so on and so forth. So that's to answer that. It's not an investment property and a quick flip turnaround type of situation. The plight of the petitioner, a hardship which would result from the strict interpretation of the regulations of zoning code, is due to unique circumstances, and the proposed variation will not merely serve as a convenience to the petitioner, but will alleviate some demonstrable unusual hardship which is not generally applicable to other properties within the same zoning district. As Kelsey mentioned, the existing house is built on an angle, and I believe, if I understood you correctly, it already encroaches this variance line. I think some people would probably come in here and tear this whole thing down and start from scratch. I actually really like the character of the existing house, and it's got a nice setup, and it's all move-in ready, that side of the house. So it's kind of nice that you'd have just paint and just do an addition in that sense. And because the road is at an angle and it's already built that way, it's leaving me not really much choice to go in line with the existing property. Not to mention, I also believe in terms of curb appeal and things like that, which I'll get to in other ones. I do think it'll just look better. There's a house behind on Acorn that's very similar, that it just kind of just continues straight, and I'm kind of looking to mimic that house. And if I wish I would have taken a picture of that house. I'm kind of looking to mimic that house. The particular physical surroundings, shape, or topographical condition of the subject property would result in a particular hardship upon the owner, as distinguished from a mere inconvenience in the strict letter of regulations were carried out, or the application of the zoning code to the subject property has a discriminatory effect. So I mentioned Ridge Road is also on an angle, and when it gets to especially when it gets to that part of the block, it does start to angle even more. When the sidewalk comes, there's also almost a curved angle right between me and the neighbor's house, where you can almost tell that the street is starting to angle more. So that's kind of the hardship of moving anywhere but in line. And there's also a pool in the back, and I joked with Robert that the hardship in having a pool, there shouldn't be a hardship, but there's no room to move back. In the sense of if I wanted to make up for any couple feet in the back, I wouldn't be able to, which I would be willing to, but there's no room because the pool's pretty much right where the addition is. That's pretty much a couple feet away from the pool at that point. The alleged hardship has created by any person presently having a priority interest in the subject property. No, the property was bought as is. The proposed variation will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other properties or improvements in the neighborhood. No, it will not be detrimental to the public welfare or damage other properties. In fact, I don't know the history of the previous owners. From assumption, I have to assume they haven't lived there for a couple of years. I believe it's an older couple, and I would imagine that if it was me living in the neighborhood, I would hope that the neighbors are going to welcome this and embrace it, and as you can see, no one's here to contest it, obviously, because no one's lived there. No one likes to have an empty house that's been unoccupied for a certain amount of time. I think it's going to be good for everyone to see there's a family living here, and lights will be on, and I'm sure when they see me now come by, and if they've seen me, I'm sure in the car driving by when I went there with my kids, and they see kids come running around. So I'm hoping that the atmosphere is in that sense, that it won't damage anything nearby. If anything, it'll enhance safety, which I'll get to in a second. The proposed variation will not impair adequate supply of light and air to adjacent properties, substantially increase congestion in public streets, increase the danger of fire, or endanger the public safety, or substantially diminish or impair property values in the neighborhood. I wrote to this, the addition, I believe, will fit right into the neighborhood and will not impair, rather improve. We weren't sure if we were going to end up with a house with a pool. It happened to be that we got one, and we were ecstatic about it. It's working. It's already there. We're both very concerned parents in the sense of like pool stories and safety, and I already have a lock on it now. Thankfully, it already comes with a fence around, but I already have ideas brewing in my head of, you know, locks with codes and fobs and the works and that kind of thing. And the reason I bring this all up is because this addition will block the pool from the street view. So just not particularly pointing out anyone, but teenagers goofing around, this and that, it's less enticing if you're driving by and you see a pool, hey, let's go jump in and this and that, it's going to block it. So in terms of safety, I feel like it actually should be better for the neighborhood. And in terms of general safety, just the floodlights I'm sure I'm going to have around and the lighting that I saw tonight when I stopped by the neighbors, that some of the neighbors had a really good lighting plan around that it felt very safe. Because Ridge itself is very dark. The street, I noticed it when I pulled up, it's very dark. So I'm sure I'm going to incorporate whatever lighting is allowed per code on the front doors and stuff like that, that will make it, people realize there's life here and there's a family living here. And then the last one is the proposed variation is in harmony with the spirit and intent of the zoning code 2023 schedule of hearings. And I believe this is a minimal request in terms of what I'm trying to accomplish. I don't know the code in terms of the precedent of other things that have been set. I do know, I've walked to my property and without even knowing that my current one encroaches, there's a property to the north of me that the garage of their property is going to be, I think, maybe even sticking out further than my garage, or my garage will be perfectly in line with their garage, so it's already kind of an existing thing. And I do also want to address, I forgot to address, in terms of the trees, the forestry, whatever comments forestry has, I read some of their comments, and whatever comments they have, I would like to hear. Part of the reason we bought this property was because of the trees. It has a very weird mix of almost living in river woods, in the deep woods over there, but kind of being able to hop out onto Lake Cook and get to work and things like that. So I don't plan on taking down any of the trees. If I have to take down a tree because it's going to be in the way of the building or the root is going to be cut and won't survive, I will, and I'll comply by any of the rules that are required by the village. But I want to try to salvage as much trees as possible. There's kind of like almost a natural forest, I call it a mini forest barrier between my neighbor on the north side and I, and I'm sure they want me to keep it because it's a nice natural barrier. I plan on keeping it, so, and it just goes for all the trees. The only tree that actually I think is dead is the very small little tree in the front behind the mailbox. I believe someone told me that that's dead, so that little tiny tree is actually probably going to come out. But whatever is going to be affected by the driveway being cut towards the garage and then doing a circular drive, the other big tree, I don't know if you can see on the left side there, I'm hoping that I can keep that right there and keep it in place, and the one on the right and the one in the middle. So if, that's kind of where Robert will come in terms of how we design that to keep those trees, if possible. But that's pretty much my view on the forestry and all that stuff, is I want to salvage as much as possible. I believe I've covered all the points, and I'm excited, whether this gets approved or not. I'm excited to move. I'm excited to start a life here with my family, and I believe that's it.
Thank you. Vice Chair Bay.
I assume you're about to ask for questions.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. It was very informative, very nice, very complete. The addition that you're proposing includes a new garage, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're going to be taking down the existing garage there?
I wasn't going to. I actually was hoping that we would have the attached garage as our main parking, and then the back garage more of like a storage unit,
Okay.
you know?
So you're going to leave the driveway that would lead
Yeah,
to the,
yeah,
opposed to
and
the
just
landscaping that, or?
Yeah, no, re-asphalt that whole thing.
Okay. Now, I'm looking at the existing house. I'm assuming that if you were to try to go to the north, which would basically be going into that driveway, you'd be running into some other setbacks. I don't know if you're aware of that, but I would imagine if you come that close to your lot line, there are some setbacks that would prevent you from building that far to the north, if you know what I'm saying.
When I come, you mean from the yellow, going that way?
Well, I think, isn't the north going up from where from where the existing is?
I'm sorry,
The existing house is the blue. If you were to try to, I thought it was north, yeah, going up. There can't be that much room.
oh,
there.
no, to build the addition that way?
Right.
No.
There's setback lines that would prevent, you'd need a variance if you were to go
Correct.
that way. Okay, and I'm
Correct.
assuming the same is true if you were to go to the west or behind the house, that you'd also be running into some type of setback requirements as far as how far you could build in relation to the rear lot line.
That would be, I don't know if I'm allowed to defer to the architect
You
on
can
that
bring
one.
your architect up.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Okay,
on that one.
Kelsey, you want?
Yeah, I can, so from this, this is a side yard, this is a side yard, this is the rear yard. The rear yard setback is about 30 feet, a little bit shy of it, 29.5. And then the minimum setback from a side yard is, or from a side lot line is 12 feet. And then the remaining setback, because they have to total 25% of the lot width. So you would be looking at, let me see. So if you were to go 12 feet here, you would get 41.1 feet here, but this one is existing, you know, they obviously have a little bit of room. So 10 feet and then probably 13 feet from up here, 10-ish feet.
Well, that's the direction he's going anyway for the addition, is he's going
Oh,
south.
yes, you're right. So then, yep.
So that's,
So more.
because what we don't have is a depiction of the buildable by right area that we oftentimes have with
No,
presentations.
there's
but-
no real risk of encroachment back here from this proposed.
Okay, all right, and obviously the direction that you're going to build is determined somewhat, as you've pointed out, by the pool and the location of the pool. You'd either have to fill it in or relocate it in order
Right.
to use that space to build in that direction.
Correct.
Okay, so that would be impractical. And
It would just be a really large cost, from what I understand. I didn't never build an actual pool from scratch, but I actually know a couple that filled a pool before, so I know that it's a large cost, but I know moving it can't be cheap. Just from the basic knowledge I have in construction, moving it and filling it I didn't even think of it as an option.
what's the existing size of the house, or the size of the existing house?
I believe it's 2,300 square feet.
And approximately what's it going to be when you do the addition?
4,700 total.
So is the addition, are you doing a new kitchen, new bathroom?
Yeah, so that's a fair question. In the addition, we haven't had floor plans because we were kind of waiting to see if the variance approved so he can draw everything out. The way it's going to be is the existing house right now, on the first floor, what's existing is pretty much basically a TV room, kitchen, powder room, and kind of small little office. And that's all just going to stay as is. The kitchen, I'm not going to really necessarily use it as a kitchen. I think I'll temporarily till we get the other kitchen built, but eventually we're going to get rid of that oven that's in there, rid of the microwave and rid of the fridge. It won't be in there. It'll just be an open space for a play area for kids. And then upstairs, there's already 3 existing bedrooms and 2 existing bathrooms, which are all just going to remain. They're all just going to be those, that's what they're going to serve as. So the addition will basically be, on part of the existing house that's left over is going to be the kitchen, great room, mud room, garage, and then the second floor will be a laundry room, family room area, master suite, and that's it. That's pretty much. So the biggest items in the addition, I would say, that are going to be the great room, which will be leading into the kitchen. The kitchen's kind of half in the existing and half in the addition part, and it leads into a great room, open area, to a mud room, and to a garage, and then upstairs, master suite, family room, laundry room. That's pretty much what's going in the actual addition itself. In terms of the actual square footage, once I understand what I'm going to actually, if it gets approved, I was going to actually come and consult with someone in the village, consult with Robert as well. In terms of square footage and taxes, I don't really know the rules about it, how much it costs per square foot that you built, you know? One of the reasons I bring it up is because when Robert was drawing up a bunch of the designs, we actually took it down from building on top of the entire garage. Because I understand this is going to be a larger house. For me, it's going to be one of the largest houses I've ever lived in, and it's not what we're used to, and I think it's appropriate for the neighborhood. It's not, and for the size of the property. but I don't know if 4,700 is the exact square footage. It might be 4,300, 4,500. I know that it's not going to be under 4 in that sense. So I think that's going to be something we're going to have to sit in the next couple of weeks when we submit for permits to say, once I have a little bit more information, how that works, which I'm sure someone in the village will.
You've got plenty of leeway because you have up to 6,800 allowed. So
Right, yeah. But the plan, give or take, right now, I believe is calling for 4831. She even has it. So, but again, I don't know if that's going to be the exact square footage.
All right, that's all I have for now. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Not seeing any. I guess I have one for Kelsey, just quickly. Can you go back to the one that showed that one will work, yeah, the one with the yellow box. So the line that we're seeing that goes horizontally through and it extends from front to back through the addition, that line, is that you said this was two parcels that are being treated like one?
Yes, so anytime that there are two parcels under the same ownership and one's undersized for the district, it's automatically seen as one zoning lot. And so there's no real cause for consolidation, but you also wouldn't be able to subdivide a lot like that without variations.
Okay, so that was going to be my question, the subdividable. Because if it had been subdividable, any new house would have to be built within whatever the new buildable square
Yes.
is. Okay,
I think there's also a requirement if the lot is below a certain size, because I ran into this 20 years ago when we did our house, that if the lot size is below a certain minimum size, that you have to do a lot consolidation.
okay,
But if it's not, if it's above that, you don't have to consolidate the lots.
okay. Understand. That was my only inquiry in mind. Thank you. With that, I guess I'll ask Member Beck. Is there anyone from the public? What your thoughts are? Did your architect want to speak, or are you done? I should ask.
No, I think. no.
Okay, we're good. Thank you.
No, I think the addition makes sense. It just continues the existing setback. And I do like the fact that it hides the pool. I think that's definitely a bonus. So with that said, I'd be in favor of this.
Thank you. Member Hendrick.
I would agree with Member Beck. I believe the standards have been met. You did a great job explaining it and walking through everything. Also fascinating just to hear your background too. It's already non-conforming out to the street. And while, yes, like you'll be extending that, I'm not sure how significant that really is. And I agree that the pool safety thing actually, to me, makes a lot of sense. And I drive on that portion of Ridge Road pretty much every day to take my kids to daycare. And I don't think the maps do justice to how angled the street truly is. So I believe there is a hardship because of the angle in the pool, and it's already non-conforming. And you've clearly thought of what other options could be there. There's not a whole lot because of the pool and the lot. So I think it meets the standards, and I would be in favor.
Thank you. Member Trushansky.
Well, there's not really much to add. I think everyone has pretty much hit it. This is already a non-conforming piece of property. You met all the standards, and like everyone else, I think building in front of the pool is, I'm always thinking about things like safety and liability, and I mean, hiding the pool is just a bonus. So I would definitely be in favor of this.
Thank you. Member Zoransky.
I would just ditto. I agree. I like your project. You certainly meet the standards, in my opinion, and I would agree with Member Hendrick that the angle is certainly a significant hardship that can't be seen from this map.
Thank you. Member Bay.
Nothing much to add. I think the standards have been met. I think it'll be a welcome addition to the neighborhood, and welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
And I will agree with my colleagues, and I don't think there's any reason to belabor the point that that is obviously, not our typical rectangular lot that we see a lot of in Highland Park, but we see a lot of ones with odd shapes as well. So I think you succinctly went through each of the requirements to grant a variation, and I think you explained to us why you believe they've been met, and I would agree with your assessment.
Thank you. That's wonderful.
So with that, I will entertain a motion.
Member Hendrick would make a motion to adopt the variation as drafted in the packet.
I'll second it.
It was a motion by Member Hendrick with a second by Vice Chair Bay. And Kelsey, when you're ready, we'll take a roll call.
Member Trusansky,
Yes.
Member Beck,
Aye.
Member Zaransky,
Aye.
Member Hendrick,
Aye.
Vice Chair Bay,
Aye.
Chair Cullither.
Aye.
Okay, that is 6, the motion passes.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I actually, in regards to the pool, I am in total agreement. I know that every parent, would want that. I don't want any, hopefully we'll meet people in the area. I don't know if your kids we could talk after, if they're going to be going to school with my kids, because we really like to meet people, and, eventually, hopefully, some of the neighbors might have been staring in that pool for a long time. Maybe they'll have their kids actually come over and.
We inherited a pool too, and we have young kids, and we were very nervous about it, and it's been the best thing ever. So
Yeah.
I think your instincts are correct. I think it'll work out good.
Great, great. Thank you very much, everybody.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate it. Kelsey, thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
for walking me through the beginning and everything.
absolutely.
And the green receipts?
They'll come at some point, yes. Yeah, I'll definitely
USPS.
follow up, yes. Yes, I will definitely follow up.
You're welcome. Kelsey, is there a staff report this evening?
There is not. The next ZBA meet, well, I guess there is, but very brief. The next meeting is March 2nd, and then the only item on that agenda is the continued 178 Prospect from the past 2 meetings.
Thank you. Any miscellaneous items that anyone like to bring up? Not seeing any, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
In a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The meeting is adjourned at 8:10 PM.
All right.